Dust swirled across the empty Frontier Plaza as Sarah May Hawkins knelt in the dirt, her trembling hands clutching the last coins she owned. At 31, she had nothing left, no home, no family, no one who would even open the door for her. Her husband's sudden death just 3 weeks earlier had shattered her heart, but what came next destroyed her life. Men in dark suits had arrived at her cabin holding papers she'd never seen before, debts her husband had secretly taken on. In just 7 days, the creditors stripped everything away. Her grandmother's carved furniture, her mother's quilts, even the little gold locket holding her parents' picture. She walked away with only what the creditors refused to take: an old skillet, a cracked clay pot, and a wooden spoon worn smooth by years of use. For 3 days, she walked from settlement to settlement, but was rejected at every door. People eyed her torn dress with suspicion. Men turned her away before she could even speak. Some women looked at her like she carried bad luck. By evening, starving and exhausted, Sarah used her final coins to buy a handful of beans from the general store. Right there in the open plaza, she gathered a few dry twigs, lit a small fire, and began to cook. It was an act of survival and stubborn hope. She poured the beans into her cracked pot, added water, and a pinch of the dried herbs she always carried: thyme, bay leaf, pepper, garlic. As the stew simmered, a warm, home-like smell filled the cool evening air. An old man with silver hair and a walking stick paused beside her fire. "Smells mighty fine, daughter," he said gently. Sarah offered him half of what little she had. He took one bite and tears gathered in his eyes. "My wife's been gone 12 years, he whispered. "Haven't tasted food made with that kind of love since?" They ate quietly by the fire. When they finished, he looked at her with surprising concern. "Tell me your story," so Sarah told him everything. The debts, the loss, the humiliation, the hunger. The old man listened silently, then leaned on his stick. "You won't find work here," he said. "But I know a place, Jed Stone's mountain ranch, 15 miles north, big spread. They need a cook." Sarah's breath caught. "Would he give me a chance?" The old man smiled softly. "Yet's a hard man. Lost his wife 6 years ago, never been the same. But he values good food, and child, you have a gift. Show him that, and you'll earn your place." He handed her a piece of cornbread and pointed toward the trail. "Sometimes the hardest hearts are the ones that need kindness most." Sarah walked through the night, every step agony. Her blisters burned, her bones ached, but hope pushed her forward. At dawn, she reached the fork in the road and took the left path. Soon the valley opened before her fenced fields, grazing cattle, sturdy barns, and at the center a grand log house. This place could be her salvation or just another rejection. She descended, straightened her worn dress, and walked to the gate. A bearded ranch hand spotted her. "Who are you? What do you want?" Sarah forced a steady breath. "Work. I heard the ranch needs a cook." The men laughed cruelly. "Lady, the boss is too particular." "You won't last a day." Before she could answer, a deep voice rolled across the yard. "I'm right here." Sarah turned. Jed Stone stood tall and solid, his dark hair streaked with gray, his expression carved from stone. But his eyes hit her hardest deep, tired, carrying the weight of old grief. "You looking for work?" he asked. "Yes, sir," she said, meeting his gaze. "I can cook." "Anything the ranch needs." Jed studied her quietly. Plenty of women said the same. None lasted. "I have high standards." Sarah swallowed her fear. "Give me one chance, sir." "Just one." A long silence hung between them. "You get 1 week," Jed finally said. 7 days to prove you belong. If your food's good, you stay. If not, you leave." Relief nearly buckled her knees. "Thank you, sir." Jed motioned to a ranch hand. "Buck, show her the quarters and the kitchen." The room was tiny, but to Sarah it felt like a palace: 4 walls, a bed, a roof. She'd barely slept that night, mapping out her first meal in her head. Before sunrise, she was in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, fire lit. She explored the pantry: fresh eggs, milk, dried meat, flour, butter, vegetables, enough to work with. By first light, the kitchen was alive with sound and warmth. Bread dough rising, meat sizzling with onion and garlic. Eggs whisked with a hint of nutmeg, biscuits turning golden in the oven. When the men arrived, they entered slowly, caught off guard by the smell. "Morning," Sarah said. "Please sit." The men exchanged doubtful looks but obeyed. Buck took the first bite and froze. "Good Lord," he muttered. "This is incredible." Soon the room was filled with stunned silence, then soft murmurs of praise. "Best biscuits I've had in years," one said. "Lady, this is real cooking," said another. "If she stays, I'm working double shifts." Sarah's heart swelled, but the true test wasn't here. It was Jed. Buck carried a special tray to Yet's study. Jed hardly looked up. "Leave it," he said. He returned to his papers. Until the aroma reached him, his eyes narrowed. He picked up a biscuit reluctantly, but the first bite stopped him cold. Perfect texture, perfect seasoning. He tried everything on the tray. He finished all of it. Jed Stone, the man who barely ate, finished every single bite. Over the next days, Sarah fell into a steady rhythm: meals, cleanup, preparation, cooking again. The ranch slowly changed. Men worked harder, laughed more, stayed at the table longer. The atmosphere lightened. And every day, Buck carried that tray to Yet's office. Jed never said a word. But Sarah noticed he never left a crumb behind. Late one afternoon, Jed finally appeared in the kitchen doorway. Sarah froze, her hands covered in flour. He looked at her with something unreadable. "You cook well?" he said simply. "Thank you, sir. Better than anyone we've had." Another pause. "You have 3 days left in your trial. Keep it up." He turned to leave, then hesitated just for a heartbeat. "That stew you made yesterday reminded me of something my wife used to make." Sarah's breath softened. "I'm honored it brought you a good memory, sir." Jed nodded and walked away. But his voice had softened too, for the first time. As the days passed, Jed stopped hiding in his study. He started showing up at meals, quiet at first, then gradually relaxing. He spoke little, but he observed Sarah carefully. Not with judgment, but with something cautious, curious. Sarah kept working, determined to earn her place. But she found herself watching Jed too, how he carried pain in his shoulders, how he avoided crowds, how he paused when he heard laughter he hadn't heard in years. The 7th night arrived. Sarah served her final meal of the trial with trembling hands roast beef, herb potatoes, warm bread, and peach cobbler. Jed ate in silence. The room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. When he finally stood, Sarah held her breath. Jed looked at her with a rare softness behind his eyes. "You stay," he said. "You've brought this ranch back to life." A faint smile touched his mouth. "And you've brought me back too." Sarah lowered her head, tears burning her eyes. For the first time in weeks, she felt safe. For the first time in years, Jed felt something like hope. And neither of them knew it yet, but this was only the beginning.